Hello, internet humans. I am still working on this Playdate slash PC based game engine and just kind of making a template game structure. There's still a lot to do, but I thought I'd show what I have so far. So, same code for the most part. I mean, there's little bits of differences based on the platform, but for the most part, I'm extracting enough so that it can all just be calls to these pan system functions, such as loading images, loading textures. These are for the hardware rendering in SDL. Sound, music, getting input, some basic, really basic menu UI stuff. So at the moment, you build them. They have their own asset folders. So if we look in here, this is the SDL build, and so we have our assets here, and we have like a colorful font. Where it is, there's again, open it up. So we have the colorful font here, and then for the Playdate asset folder, we can't really have anything except for straight black and straight white. So I have these in here. So basically each asset has its own path. Over here, something I added was cursor control. Because I figured with all these options, if I make another like multi-game pack, you can navigate this with the WASD JK buttons, and I will need to implement keyboard configuration, remapping. But this is still kind of annoying to have to scroll through each of these. You can, but I also just added in mouse support, so it'll highlight whatever you're currently over, and you can click on it. And then over on the Playdate, we have to come down here and go to it this way. So in here, I can adjust my music and sound. Over here, I would have to come here. I can either use the plus minus buttons, or I can just hit left and right, which I think I have the audio off over here. Oops, go over here. Okay, that doesn't seem to be working properly. I'm gonna mute that again. Does it work here? It works here. I guess I'm just not setting up the volume correctly over there. So hit back, we'll go back over here. I'm currently working on a little shop, like not a real money shop, but like an in-game points, unlock hats and stuff. But all I have right now with that is some mock-ups, and I was kind of setting up the layout. I tend to draw my layouts before I do actual UI work. So here's my store mock-up, or here's the XCF version. So I mark out regions, I calculate the difference, like the spacing between items. This is where your pet rock will show up, and then maybe the pet rock will show up in games or something like that. Some little tabs up at the top, and a back button. So I haven't really implemented that yet, besides just a really, really basic adding the layout. But this is kind of a pain in the butt because I currently don't have a menu system in place. I'm just kind of handling the menu stuff from inside of each state, which is not a great way to do this. I need to break the menu stuff out into having like a menu manager, which will really streamline that. And possibly loading in menu data from an external file. Like I could just make my own text file format. Probably whatever's easiest to parse, I guess. Well, with Lua, I could do tables and save that data, but then without either implementing a parser or bringing in another library, it'd be harder to do that on the SDL side. But here, let me go ahead and open up the Playdate example again, and I'll show you the Pickin Sticks demo. So the first thing here, Pickin Sticks demo. Over here, we'll hit the button. Oh no, I copy-pasted all my assets over. Let me fix this real quick. I was missing some assets, so it was crashing on the Playdate. But what we can do... Actually, I can kind of go through and show you how I adjust the graphics for the Playdate, but what I'll probably end up doing for the most part is designing Playdate first, and maybe just doing Game Boy Color style for the PC version. But for instance, here's our colorful title background, and if I wanted to change this to something that works with black and white, let's see, where is my menu background? So then what I end up having to do is I recolor the screen, so you can tell I've made RAR all white over here because I don't want him to look dithered. I, kind of adjusted the hill colors so that when it does get turned to pure black and white, it's still legible, readable. I can just do that in GIMP real fast by flattening the image and setting it to indexed, and there's different options for how you want to do that. So that's how I make my Playdate art if I have to convert from like a colorful picture. So let me go ahead and fix these where I have my Playdate assets. I need to fix these all up because those are not going to render properly because they're in color. So for instance, with this stick right here, I forgot to save my progress last time. But if I change this to black and white as it is that very readable? I don't know. We can kind of test it out. I'll go ahead and save it, and then I'll show how we kind of adjust this to look nice for Playdate. So save this as the stick. Oops, double check our other items, like the ground. This is my stick cursor. So for the ground, for instance, I could change this to indexed, but I don't really want this dithering. That's not going to look very nice. So I'll just change the background to that. And I might just change all the grass to just black, or that can be kind of okay. I would clean that up some more because I don't want those single pixels looking weird. So what I'll do is I'll just change those all to black. Now that is a proper ground. This little cursor here, that's gonna just all render as black on the Playdate. I do have a cursor file here, and here's my black and white version. So we'll just save that. So cursor, and then our button background. So over here, I have the colored version of the button and then the black and white version. So again, we'll go here, save button background, and I think that should be everything. Here's my black and white RAR. RAR. When I was a small child, I had a speech impediment where I couldn't say R's, so sometimes I still have to remember how to say R's. Okay, let's go ahead and build and run this again, and we'll open this on the Playdate side. PS demo. Here's this. Still not as readable as I would like it. On a smaller view, it looks better, I think. Like, I think that's more readable. It's kind of hard when you're viewing it, previewing it at like a larger size. I think this looks okay, and I think it would look okay on the Playdate hardware. And then I made like that just goes back to the options menu. So I made a play screen. My husband's watching me now, so hi Rye, what's up? What do you think of my games?
Super cute.
My games are super cute.
I love the green color.
Of the dinosaur or the grass?
The grass.
You love the grass?
That color is on
Okay. Thanks. Yes, it is a very cute dinosaur. So over here on the Playdate side, I'll blow this back up again. First, it runs at a different speed. I don't know if that's from the frame rate. I need to kind of investigate that more. I haven't been working as much on the, the gameplay system after I got the Pickin Sticks itself working. I was just doing that as kind of a demo. Look at that little tail wag. And then over here, I have that running. This also has audio. I just don't have the music volume correct. But yeah, that does that. Now with the Playdate, you can hit menu and go back to the main menu. I added that callback. Over here in SDL, currently, I have this program to only work with WASD and JNK as like an imitation for B and A for Playdate. So I just implemented a escape to go to the main menu. I will modify that more to kind of give the same, like a little, do you want to go back to the main menu? Yes, no, so it doesn't immediately go back. Because at the moment, when it goes back, it's going to unload your current state, load the new state, and all that. So, yep, that's kind of all I have to show for the game itself. I have all this logging. I also cleaned up the logging on the SDL side. So it's just a HTML file. I did the same thing with like my Trello engine. And so I can kind of see what all is going on. I can set it to minimal or verbose. So sometimes if I'm debugging, I might set it to verbose to figure out why things are crashing, because it's very easy to seg a fault. But just as a quick overview, here's all the structures I have. So currently I have inputs, and those are just mapped as left, right, up, down, left, and right. Action button. And then those have a state of either inactive, like not being pressed, was not pressed, and is not currently pressed. Begin push, so going from not pressed to this is the first cycle where it's pressed. Held down, so last cycle was pressed, either begin push or held down. This cycle also held down. And begin release. Last cycle was held down or begin push. This cycle is not pushed, so then it's the begin release state. Here's my log levels. I made a little counter struct because I always use counters that, you know, it goes from 0 to the maximum and then it resets, and I just use those all the time for like game animations and counters and stuff. We have my SDL frame rate adjuster, and again, I need to go into the Playdate system, which you can't read it here because I have it all faded out because these are for the target simulator or target Playdate, but again, I need to go through those later. We have our state that uses a bunch of void pointers, and when we call, like, when we want a new state to begin, we call state title init for the state title. It calls this and sets up all of the callbacks to those functions. Those are all down here. It's currently really ugly because I'm setting up all of the UI elements from the setup screen. But at the moment, I'm just kind of like building up as we go. And then, you know, updates, handling input, drawing stuff to the screen. I have our various structures. So this is the software rendered table, images, and image table. On the Playdate, it's going to be the same for either. So this technically is the same on Playdate if we look at the implementation, LCD bitmap. But for SDL, this is the hardware rendered version, and I've been kind of focusing on that, so I might remove this, or if I do want to support software rendering for the PC, I'm going to have to go back and fix some stuff up because I've been ignoring that. We have sound, Playdate is audio sample, SDL is mix chunk, direction enum could probably go up further, some basic menu text, menu icon, and menu button. So each button could have text and an icon. It just looks to see if this pointer is null pointer before rendering, or it should. Otherwise it'll crash because everything crashes. And then my system struct is kind of getting big. This is the system SYS thing that I pass to every function currently. So I'm like, it feels like trying to do object-oriented programming, but upside down and backwards. But here's Playdate specific things at the moment, SDL specific things, and then our shared bits of data. And I went ahead and I made a global set of assets for the fonts and backgrounds, images for the menus, because like the options menu and the title screen, I have those using the same assets, and same for the shop, except these are special. So it didn't make sense to keep freeing those assets and then reloading those assets every time. What else? The functionality itself is in pan system. So in the Omelette engine, we use the pan to do our cross-platform stuff, kind of like platform agnostic calls to things. And so this is all just, the same that I've been building on. So probably what I'll end up doing next is just implementing a menu manager, similar to what I have in the Chalo engine. In my C++ engine, I have a menu manager, and it is responsible for loading in the menu, loading in all of the, like a vector of buttons or a vector of images or labels or whatever else. So that is all handled here in my C++ engine. I need to do the same sort of thing with C. So look at all that stuff. It'll load a CSV based menu, but I'll probably go with something similar or simpler for the Omelette engine. Now, another thing I want to do is create a view stack or a state stack, because as it is, if I go to options and then hit back, it goes to the title screen. If I go to the RAR screen, I haven't implemented mouse stuff here yet. But then if I go to options from here, it goes to the very same options screen. And then going back takes us back to the title screen. It would be lovely if I could use the C++ standard template library stack to implement that. I don't know if C has some included with the language data structures. I didn't research it very hard. I don't really want to implement my own stack, but I suppose I can. I do teach data structures. I took one class in C in the past. I had to write a linked list with that, which was, from my recollection, pretty horrible because I wasn't used to C at the time. But yeah, having a view or a state stack is a great way to go. So that's another thing I want to do. A stack and a menu manager, and I think I have a little to-do list in here as well. So let's look at that. We'll just throw this in Emacs. Well, this one doesn't matter a whole lot because if you change audio volumes on the options menu, chances are you're going to a different screen afterwards, and it reloads the audio, and then it'll load it at the right volume. Stack structure, need a config file. So again, to be able to rebind these keys, so if you don't want to do WASD, J, and K, you could bind them to something else. Oh, I just did this. I added click detection for the PC version. And then also stuff like setting the screen resolution. So when you start, at the moment, if I want to run it at like 3 times size, I have to just update it in the code right here. So quit, and then we'll set that back. Or we could run it at the actual size, which is quite tiny, and most people probably don't want to run the game at that size. But this all needs to be in like a config file. So again, this is all on GitLab, so you can view this right now if you wanted to kind of use it as a basis for your own Playdate / PC stuff, or just kind of learn from it. I still haven't done any more with an Mscripton, and I don't think I'm actually going to implement any Android stuff because developing for mobile is such a pain in the butt. And I'm getting emails now from Google saying, oh, your apps aren't, what is it called? Your apps aren't compliant anymore. Your app has been removed. So, every so often Google Play updates what it requires from your apps. And I've done it before, but I don't do Android development enough to really keep up with it in any meaningful capacity. I also don't make money from it. They're all just like free games that I made. So I'm just kind of like, maybe I'll just let those lapse. Maybe I'll just throw some stuff on, like the old stuff on F-Droid instead, or just download the APK off of Itchio. But I don't really feel like messing around with Google and their constantly changing rule set. Not because I can't, just because I'm freaking lazy. I got other things. I got a full-time job. I don't want... My job is not managing my app store. But yeah, if you're interested, you can check out my games on Itch.io if you didn't already know that. Some of these are incomplete, so you could look at those and be like, damn, I wish I had a game about student loans. And you can comment and say, hey, make a game about student loans. And then these are kind of like my big things to show off right now, because they're relatively finished out of everything else. These are relatively finished games. And if you want, you can purchase the game. You do not have to. You can download without purchasing, but I do appreciate it if you purchase or even just comment. I don't get a lot of comments on stuff. This is my most popular game. No one ever looks at my other games. Except I get like 4 downloads for Christmas Horse every year around Christmas time. I got my 4 hardcore Christmas Horse fans, and I love them. I have zines up here too, but blah blah blah. Itch.io, old games I made while I was still in college, random projects, constructed language thingamabobs that I don't really keep up with anymore. And yeah, well, yep, that's everything. I just wanted to make an update because I have so many meetings this week, so I thought maybe I'll just post a video tonight before I go to bed. Okay, bye.